Warning! Hey, dumbass! This show is called The Offenders. So if you hear something that offends you, then we are doing our fucking job. So quit crying! Love the Offenders.
Welcome back to another episode of The Offenders Podcast. I'm Kyle, and with me is an asshole.
Wait, which one of us? Oh,
You.
Hi, I'm Evan. And sitting next to me is another asshole, but he's my friend.
That's Jane.
Alright, guys. So, how to begin it the way this week, because, we were supposed to record a little bit earlier, but, Mr. Evan Jones decided he was going to stick his hands in some strange pussy, and he had to go to the doctor for it.
There's this cat that waits for me every night when I get off of work and comes up and goes meow, 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 and all the fucking cute things that cats do. And I pet it for like 2 or 3 minutes before I go inside. Well, today, the cat was outside as it usually is, and it like jumped up on the car before I was about to leave, so I was petting it. And it like, you know, like when cats don't actually attack you, they just kind of do like that teething thing? Well, it did that on my arm, except there was like one fucking tiny droplet of blood, so I was like, oh shit, rabies! So, of course, I panicked and I went to the Med Center North, and I got there, and they fucking gave me a tetanus shot and told me that I need to go to the hospital to get a rabies shot. Long story short, I go to the fucking hospital, and they tell me it didn't puncture the skin enough to be rabies. So basically, I just spent fucking $20 for nothing, and now the show's going on late. I'm so sorry. I'm a real fucking jerk.
It's my hypothesis that cat has been setting you up this entire time. Like, it's been really nice to you this whole time since it didn't do anything, so you wouldn't suspect it. And then, like, it just tried to graze you with the teeth. Because if it bit you too much, you'd really know it had rabies, you see. Mm-hmm. So it's just trying to sneak it in there. He also paid off the doctor, so you're fine.
See, so it's just saying, hey, I could have killed you, but I want you to know that death is always around the corner.
Yes, exactly.
P.S. The doctor told me that even though he didn't think it was rabies, I do have a 72-hour window before I'm fucked. Because after 72 hours, my brain will melt.
That's exactly what he said.
So, long story short, wear protection when touching strange pussy.
Yes.
Yes. And speaking of stories, let me tell you one that happened to me. So you guys
Another one that happened to you.
Yeah, just
Yes.
another one.
Goodness knows my life is for the amusement of others, if nothing else. So I'm sitting at work the other day, and I receive a text message. And it says, hey, Evan, this is, name removed. I was wondering if you were downtown. And I said, hey, buddy. No, I'm at work until midnight. I'm doing overtime because somebody quit, but I hope you have a blast. So they said, oh, well, I have somebody for you to meet. And I said, oh, awesome. That's great. And she says, he's a she who loves anime. Let me fucking say that sentence one more time. He's a she that loves anime.
Her favorite character is Griffith.
Jesus fucking Christ.
So,
What kind of friends do I have?
Hold on. He's a she.
He's
Yes.
a she.
But is it he's a she, like he is actually a guy dressed as a woman, or is he a woman actually dressed as a guy?
He is a guy that dresses like a woman. Because this is my exact fucking reply. Wait, what? He's a she? LOL. They fucking said LOL. The fucking dickholes.
So this is a female that sent this to you?
Yes.
Well,
That was talking to a guy that was dressed like a girl who likes anime, and they wanted me to come down there and save them from this guy by setting it up like, oh, I want you to make a new friend. Fuck you.
so
Wow.
was she president at AWA? Did she go to the Yaoi Summer Party?
God
Meet all
damn
those people?
Son of a bitch. And mind you, I don't care who I talk to about anime. I'll talk to a fucking pig that talks if it talks about anime.
That's some
I don't
pig.
mind that part. But why the fuck can't my friends? Why can't my friends ask me to save them from beautiful Japanese ninja women instead of cross-dressing fucking otaku?
Because we don't think you're Batman. That's why.
Well, maybe these friends should start hanging out in places where they meet those kind of people rather than the kind of places where they meet trannies.
It's downtown Macon. What do you expect?
Well, that's true. There's a lot of... I've seen crazy things in downtown Macon that I would never expect to see in Macon. Things that I would not even imagine to see in Athens and never have. Like, just one time. The one time I was back in Macon, literally out of, like, a year. I'm in Macon for 2 days, and I see a group of furries just wandering downtown Macon. I was like, what the hell is going on?
They're hunting.
They're always out.
They're hunting, yeah.
So the moral of the story is, hey, if you need Evan to help you move some furniture, send him a text message. If you don't want to feel lonely while you go out and eat food in public because you have a complex about it, Evan will hang out and order a burger. But do not ask Evan to talk to a transvestite about anime, especially while he's at work.
I did not get that moral. The moral of the story I got was, if you're going to want Evan Jones to talk to a tranny, just say it's a she. Don't let him know that it has a penis. And
don't listen to Kyle.
And bring him there, and when he gets there, play the game. How long will it take for Evan to realize this chick has a dick?
There are signs. The size of the hands, the throat. Need I go into further detail?
And if he goes home with it, you win. You win.
No, if you win
but
the next
Evan
day.
loses.
I will never lose that game.
That's hilarious.
I will say this. I have seen some trannies before where, like, I didn't realize they were tranny because they were, like, just really small, effeminate dudes until somebody, like, pointed something out. Not like I was sitting there like, hell, man, yeah, check it out. Because usually they're still ugly chicks.
Right. You just think it's an ugly girl.
I just thought it was an ugly girl. God, we're terrible people.
And again, there's nothing wrong with being a transvestite. That's totally cool. Fucking Rocky Horror Picture Show or whatever. That's great, I'm a 32-year-old man who has wall scrolls of an imaginary character over my bed. I'm a fucking weirdo.
I'm a guy who just went and spent $200 so he could play the new Pokemon game. So what the fuck can I say?
The point is, I am not the best man to talk to a transvestite. That would clearly be Kyle.
Because of the Pokemon. That makes perfect sense. I still think it's funny that you mentioned, like, you need me to save you from a hot Asian woman. Just go ahead and call me. What, is this like fucking 1960s Batman?
Yes, it is. That's called the power of fucking persuasion.
It's like, yeah,
I'm planting it in their
brains.
brains.
You know when Robin gets kidnapped by all the co-eds that are dressed like cat girls, like, because they're Catwoman, and like Batman breaks in the room when they're all trying to make out. It's like, I'll save you, Robin. Save me from what? Manhood?
Okay, goddammit, let me rephrase this. If you ever need to be saved from Japanese ninja women, call me and Shane. Okay? Shit.
Okay, well, I'll let it go then. I agree 100%, and everything I just said has been invalidated.
Okay.
Fair enough. All right, well, so from that lighthearted story about Evan's attempts to play with pussy and then his attempts to play with, Asian people, which is not going to happen because they don't want to touch him.
God damn it.
Something a little bit more serious happened this week in Macon. So I saw this come across my Facebook feed, and then I actually had to go read the article because it just seemed so ridiculous I couldn't imagine it. But I think it was Wednesday night.
We're horrible people. I hope we're not laughing about the same thing.
Sorry.
Wow, I want to know what happened.
I looked over at Shane to see if he heard what I heard, and he did.
So we both know. When you said it came across my face, I immediately was like, I just started smiling. He looked over.
I knew it.
You guys.
I'm sorry, we'll be good.
Please continue, Daddy.
Okay.
Serious business. Let's go.
But so, in Macon, I know there are several no-kill animal shelters. So basically, these are people who you can, drop an animal off there, like maybe you can't care for anymore or something like that, or they'll find these animals and they'll take them in and they'll keep the animals there and care for them for as long as it takes for them to be adopted. Okay. Rather than like some of the Humane Society, which in Macon is probably the worst one around. Like they're known for just like being terrible, but they'll kill shelter. So if they're for too long, they'll kill the animals. But the name of the shelter is All About Animals Rescue. And it was sometime Wednesday night going into Thursday, but somebody or bodies, it had to be a group of people probably, that broke in there And what they proceeded to do was they proceeded to take these dogs that were in there, a lot of which were probably pit bull mixes and things like that, dogs that have been rescued, and dogfight them inside the animal shelter.
Wow.
And so, yeah, when they came in Thursday morning, they found a lot of dogs had been seriously injured. I think they said there was about 8 of them that were in really bad shape, and then there were some others that had some injuries that they could deal with, and 3 of them had been killed. And not all of them were killed from dogfighting. Some of them had been, like, attacked by, like, knives, like, cut.
What?
Stuff like that. Yeah, like, some have been cut by people.
Jesus.
And the dogs that, even the ones that weren't, like, hurt through the dogfighting, they were just traumatized because they had probably been, had to basically be in there during all this happening. So, they basically, and this is one of the things I'm happy to hear that's come out of it, though. It's like a lot of people, after seeing this, like, were like, what can we do to help you? And so a lot of local vets took in the dogs that were seriously injured to help try to, help them out and get them fixed up. A lot of people came in like, I can foster some dogs while you get the place repaired. Even a local security company supposedly came in and was like, we can offer to install a security system for you as long as you can just pay the like $25 a month to, have the security system monitored. And people even come forth and put down a lot of money to actually go toward information to arrest the people who did this. So
that's awesome. It's always good to see, something to give you faith in humanity.
Yeah, and like people are like coming out to have like a vigil at this place. I think it's sometime next week. I'll post the information about that in the show notes and everything. And I'll also post the donation links for people who might want to donate to it, because I'll be the first to admit, I'm not a big animal person. I grew up in a family where we had animals all the time, so when I moved out, I was like, I don't want to have animals. But with that said, this is still fucked up that people would do this.
Yeah, completely.
It's beyond what a normal person would ever think about doing. Like, I have trouble, like, trying to find the context of which you would do that, because it's like, you go to a place where there's already going to be animals that are hurt and that have been abused. You break into this place, and then not only do you fight the dogs, but then you just randomly torture some of them yourself for the fucking hell out of it.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I have a hard time just imagining people who raise dogs to dogfight. And I mean, that's crazy in and of itself.
I understand the reason they do that, and they make money off from it.
Well, yeah.
However, you can only break in this place once before you can't break into it again. If they made any money off from it, they did that all of one time. So there's just no reasoning behind it.
Well, I'm sure, too, the thought on it was that, like, well, we don't, and this is, I mean, I'm only guessing why these people would have done this, but my thought is that they probably thought, well, hell, if we have to raise the dogs, we have to go through the whole process of food and everything to take care of them and raising them. We can just break in here one night, make money, and there's really no, like, real cost that they have to put forth to do that other than what it takes to break in.
So you think that they're the actual people who own the dogs before they were taken?
I don't think that.
Necessarily.
I think it just might be some people. Maybe somebody was, but I'm not necessarily thinking that. I'm just thinking it's people who thought they could make money doing this in some easy way without having to raise the dogs and go through the hassle of keeping them and doing that. So, like, we'll just break in there and use these dogs to fight. So that's why I think it was probably a group of people who broke in there and did it. It wasn't just, like, 1 or 2 guys. It was probably a semi-group of it.
And let me put it this way. Let me be the fucking heel for a minute. Everybody knows that I think that small dogs are the bane of mankind's existence. I don't like dogs. Large dogs that don't bark all the time are okay. But I'm not really a fucking dog person, okay? However, this is so fucked up that it upset me. And normally I'm the guy who's like, oh, it's a small dog? Why don't you go throw it into a fucking wood chipper? Because all it does is piss and bark and ruin lives anyway. So if I, the biggest asshole in the fucking world, think that this is fucked up, how bad must these people be? Like, seriously, let's take a minute and just be psychological about this. What do you think they thought that they were going to gain from this? They couldn't have made very much money because you can't invite people into a fucking broken into building for a show.
Well, first off, if you're already willing to go to a dog fight and make money, you probably don't care if it's in a broken down building or not.
That's true.
That is true.
And I'll say this, they might not have made a lot of money, but those same people who break, or not saying the same people do this, but those people who would, like, rob a gas station for $50 and kill the guy behind the counter. They don't make a lot of money doing that either, but they're willing to end a life for it. So
desperate people is what you're saying. Somebody who's working out of desperation. This was an act of desperation.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily. Desperation are just people who are just like
they just don't give a fuck.
Don't give a fuck. Yeah, it's the best way of putting it.
They don't have any empathy for other people, and they just want whatever they're trying to get.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So that's why it's really hard to figure people like that out because you're not like that. There's some things you just couldn't do.
Yeah, I mean, I can even imagine, like, as much as I may, like, not want to even have animals at times, something like this, reading them, like, God, I feel that's so terrible. I want to go adopt some dog now just because of stuff like this, you know?
There are practical reasons to not like that, because people who will do something like that will do terrible things to you, too.
Yeah, for real. If they're willing to do this to animals, what are they going to do to a human?
Let me be devil's advocate again. Let me bring up another point. Something that really, really bothers me is people who put animals on a fucking pedestal. And like a fucking person can get shot in the street in front of their house and they don't give a shit, but if a dog gets punched in the face, they act like it's the end of the world. So think about it like this. If this same situation happened to 3 fucking lower class people, 3 white people, 3 black people, 3 Mexican people, do you think it would still have the exact same outcome? Or do you think that people would be like, oh, this is making?
Well, there are always people who want to help people out when any bad thing happens. It depends on the type of person.
I don't think it would have gotten that amount of press, if that's what you're saying. I'm not saying I don't think people wouldn't have cared, but I think it goes back to the whole, like, the atrocity of all this. Like, maybe if these people had broken into, like, you have to put it in terms of what this is. This is a place that's trying to help these animals that have basically already probably been through hell for a lot of them. So maybe if somebody broke into, like, an old folks' home and made these old people fight in the hallway and stuff like that, people might get like, what the fuck? That's crazy. You know? Or if they did something like they broke into an orphanage and did something like that to children, people might get upset.
Yeah.
Not to mention Tiger Mask would be on those motherfuckers.
Yeah, for real.
But I just hate selective compassion. If you can't turn a blind eye to one type of suffering and then only pay attention to other suffering.
Yeah,
well, that happens a whole lot.
Yeah,
it does, and it's stupid. Like I said, I don't even like dogs all that much, but this still pissed me off.
Yeah.
But
it's one thing to not like dogs. I mean, even if like there's a dog like yapping and barking and running at you and you kick it out of your way because it's running at you, that's one thing.
Yeah.
If you go to a place where you weren't going to be, where the dogs are locked up, where they weren't going to get to you, and then you do something like that, then you have a problem.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I've known people who, like, used to do surveys and things for places. They used to do, like, repos or whatever, and you have to go into places, and there might be an animal that tries to come and attack you or something while you're out there. And if you hit it or do something that hurts it, but it's in defense, that's one thing. But like Shane says, these people actively went somewhere that they weren't supposed to be, broke in, and, like, did this not to one animal, but to, like, a group of animals to the point where 3 of them died.
Mm-hmm.
And several others were seriously injured. And then other ones were just traumatized. So, like I said, I'm not saying that, like, well, you should feel more sorry for this than you should if a person got hurt. But still, if some people, you know, there's one thing, too, is it's just, like I said, it's just the level of the audacity to do something like this and the ridiculousness that people would go to do this.
It doesn't make any sense to people who have morals and functioning logical brains because there's no enjoyment out of seeking the fucking terrorizing something else that's already in an injured state of mind. There's nothing normal about that.
Yeah.
Yep, I agree. So, what I'll do is I'll just post a link to the article kind of talking about all of it, and I'll also post the links to where if you want to donate to help out, you can do that also. And you know, and not even if you can't donate money, maybe if there's some other people you know who can or would like to, you can share it with them too.
And for fuck's sake, if you want a dog or a cat, don't pay somebody $800,000. Try and find the ones that are looking for a good home for free, for fuck's sake.
I completely agree with that. That actually reminds me of something that I thought about and some of my grandparents used to do. So my grandparents used to go and adopt. So, like, you know, they'll have seeing eye dogs and guide dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not all dogs make it through that process. Some dogs, maybe they're too skittish. Maybe some dogs have, like, a hearing problem they find out about. Or something will happen where maybe they're not able to do it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
and they can't keep these dogs forever, and they don't want them to do a shelter, so they'll let people adopt them. Well, my grandparents used to donate a lot of money and adopt these dogs, even though you don't have to. Like, there's like a small adoption fee, but they'd still donate to the cause. And every animal they ever had that I remember was from one of these organizations, and those were some of the best animals ever.
Yeah.
So, and I know people who've also adopted greyhounds, because, they'll race them, and when they get too old to race, or they hurt themselves and can't race anymore, they'll usually just kill them. So,
there's a business for pets out there. They're called dog farms. If you don't know what they are, just look them up. It's pretty fucked up. People just... they treat it like they would treat a fucking chicken that's going to KFC. They don't give a shit about it. It's just a source of income for them.
Yeah. And so that's what there's a greyhound adoption. I know there's one actually in Atlanta, because I was looking at it, because I'd love to have a greyhound, but you can adopt a retired greyhound, and one thing about those dogs is people always think, oh man, they must be super hyper. Actually, no, they're pretty lazy. They just, especially ones that have ran for 2 years straight, they just want to retire and not do anything.
Those are the best dogs anyway, because they just hang out and watch TV with you.
Hell yeah, it's like a cat. Except for it's a cat that loves you. Not one that has nothing but contempt for you. But, so yeah, if you want an animal, you should always look at adoptions. You can, if you have a PetSmart near you, can go to a PetSmart, and usually on the weekends, they have local shelters come in with all the animals they have for adoption, and you can usually get one for like $100 to $150. It's already been like spayed or neutered and been like has its shots, and usually a lot of them have microchips too, so like if something happens, they can track it for you and find your dog. So, but as I said, I'll put that in there, and you can take a look at all that and donate if you would like to.
Man, why do we have to talk about this? Now I'm all pissed off.
Oh,
well, God, that was a really good segue.
I know.
And I almost missed it. All right, Evan, go ahead and tell us about the story we're gonna talk about next.
There's a woman from an undisclosed area, because we don't want this woman coming after us,
Hell
who
no.
allegedly tried to run down 2 people with her car. Well, the cop pulled her over, and there was a little scuffle. There were some fisticuffs. However, I'm not talking literal fisticuffs. This lady, instead of using her hand, she used something far worse. The cop that was trying to arrest her, she pulled her pants down and pissed all over him.
So we could say there were some fisticuffs?
Fisticuffs! And while she was pissing on him, she's like, that's what he gets! That's what he gets. In mid-piss, she is insulting. Oh my God.
So,
but yes, that actually happened.
Yeah. Well, so the way I really don't. There's not really a lot to say about this, but we're going to say something. Goddammit.
Yes.
And what we're going to do is we're going to basically do a mock trial. Okay. So I don't know. Some of you may have done this when you were in school, but basically you have a mock trial where normally you have somebody who acts as a judge, and then you have somebody else who acts as the defense for the person who's been being tried, and then you have somebody who acts as the prosecution. Okay? So, we're going to do a mock trial of this case in the courtroom. Now, Shane is going to be the defense attorney, Evan is going to be the prosecutor, and I am going to be the unhonorable judge. Alright. So, gentlemen, are you ready for this trial to begin?
Oh, yes.
You're going to have to explain the whole legal system to us.
Oh, God.
Like, who goes first?
The prosecution.
Yeah.
Prosecution goes first.
Yeah, so opening statements for prosecution?
Yes. Okay. So I go now?
Yes, you go now.
I'm going to be a very southern, old school prosecution attorney.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, what we have here is a travesty of unfathomable depths. Here, we have an officer of the peace doing nothing more than trying to keep our streets safe. And what does he come up to? Nothing more than a mad woman trying to do evil to 2 innocent boys walking their beautiful dogs down the street. And what happens? She hates dogs. Goodness knows what she does in her spare time. She charges like a mad bull directly for these two young men. And thankfully, because our streets are safe, one of those police officers put his life on the line, and he intervened. And he said, "Ma'am, could you please tell us what in the world you are doing?" And what does she do? She gets out of her car. She gets out. I'm sorry. This is just very unnerving. She gets out of her car and proceeds to remove her small clothes, remove her dressings, and she makes water on the peace officer. Everybody here knows that the police are number one. That's right. They're number one. They're not number two. The police are our only salvation against pissed off criminals. Against yellow-bellied hoodlums. And I just ask you this. If my story hasn't moved you, then perhaps you're a Muslim terrorist. And if you do not prosecute this criminal, freedom shall go down. Jesus Christ shall go down. The American way, capitalism, shall all fall because you think it's okay to piss on police officers. I rest my case.
Okay, wow. There's some. I'm making notes actually. Points for puns. Okay. Points for Game of Thrones references. Put that there. All right, Shane. So it's the defense's turn, but I want to try to do something different here. So Evan did it as the southern prosecutor. Can you be like the fast talking New York defense attorney, like my cousin Vinny?
Well, I don't know. Maybe I could do it. Maybe I couldn't do it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
All right. Good. Defense, it's your opening statement.
All right. So here's what we got going on here. You know, I'm from New York City. I don't have all the southern gentleman talkings and stuff like that because I have better things to do than sit around drinking tea all the time. You know what I'm saying? All right. Well, anyway, so here's what happens. So everybody knows that police are assholes, right? Everybody knows that. Everybody knows police are assholes. So here's what's going on here. You don't have all the things. He's making up stuff and pointing allegations. So here's what's going on. She was on the internet, right? Minding her own damn business, looking at cute kittens and stuff like that. And she makes a comment on the video. It's like, oh, what a cute kitten. And you get those assholes that have to say something about your fucking comment. And, you know, they're assholes, and they think they're safe. But not this woman, because this woman's a fucking genius. She's a goddamn super hacker. So she finds their address. And she's like, I'm going to go there. I'm going to beat the shit out of these asshole trolls that are always on the fucking internet. So she pulls up their honks her horn, honk, honk, honk. They come out. She's like, all right, motherfucker, you got something to say about my cute fucking cat? Because she loves animals. She goddamn loves animals. So she goes there. She slaps them around a little bit, but she figures she's going to be nice to them. You know, so she gets in a car. She's like, all right, I've had enough. I'm going to leave. They get in her way. Blocking fucking traffic. Come on now. If you're stupid enough to stand in front of a 2-ton vehicle, what do you get? So she pushes them out of the way with the car. So here come these cops. All right, they're cops. So she stops. She's trying to cooperate. But, you know, they're assholes. And they're like, you know, come on, lady, and pushing her up the car and stuff like this. Like, you know... She's like, I've had enough of this. You cops think that you can just do whatever you want to because of your badges. You treat us like peons. Well, I'm going to pee on you. And she does. And then she's like, that's what you get. That's what you get for pissing on the American people. The American people are going to piss on you. And that's it. I'll take my time and I'll take my rest.
She's a fucking martyr, for fuck's sake. Order in the court.
All right, yeah. Order in the court. That's a woo. I'm sweating. Heated arguments. Wow.
I would like to ask to have that man removed from the courtroom. This is a holy sanctuary. You cannot curse.
It's a legal sanctuary, not a holy one.
Yeah.
All right. Does the prosecution want to add anything to that?
I've conducted myself with the quality of a southern gentleman. I think that alone speaks volumes over this Yankee.
Yankee? Yeah, yank my nuts.
All right. Does the prosecution have any witnesses they might like to call?
Well, there is one rather unsightly man that I could bring forward, but I just don't know if it would help nor hinder. However, I will bring him in because goodness knows I want freedom to ring. So here I have brought forward Mr. Bobby Jenkins.
And who is Bobby Jenkins?
A man who was on the scene of the crime, who saw this woman pull her pants down.
All right, Mr. Jenkins, if you'll step forward.
Well, as I see it, what happened here was a fine, upstanding member of the police officers was doing his job trying to get rid of the filth of society. And what does she do? Just like old what's-his-ass just said, she pissed on him. And I tell you, I piss on people all the time, but never a fucking officer. Order in the court! Order in!
Mr. Jenkins,
I'll
please
get the
watch
order
your
of the
language.
courtroom, all right? I'll get the order of the courtroom. If you don't like what's being said, somebody can say objection, and I'll let it know if it's sustained or overruled.
I will have Phoenix Wright on the ready.
Good.
Mr. Jenkins, please try to control your foul language.
I'm sorry I had a couple of drinks before I got here. The point is, I've been pulled over for drunk driving more times than I can count on my fingers and toes. But you know what? I ain't never pissed on an officer. I ain't shat on an officer. Objection! The word, if I may, is relieve yourself. And I would be relieved if you would stop using such foul language.
Hold on. Is the prosecution objecting to his own witness?
As I mentioned, he is a less than savory man, Your Honor.
Are you actually an attorney? Do you know how this works? Have you not watched My Cousin Vinny?
I cannot say I've ever had the pleasure of meeting your cousin Vinny, but I do know that Jesus Christ and freedom are the tenets of American justice. And I'm getting this sassafras out of here before he does any more damage to my court case. Get out of here, Bobby Jenkins!
Hold on. The defense gets to question Mr. Bobby Jenkins, too.
Son of a...
Does the defense have any questions for Mr. Bobby Jenkins?
Are you trying to destroy my case?
No, I'm running this properly. Like I said, maybe you should go back to law school.
I was talking to Mr. Jenkins, Your Honor.
Oh. This is a good question.
Well, the defense would like the court secretary to simply read back what he's already said, and I think that will make my case for me.
All right.
I can say it again. I mean, you got any whiskey back there?
No, Mr. Jenkins, that's more than all right. You're free to go.
I am?
Yeah, you can leave.
Time to get drunk! Woo!
All right.
I gotta go get 8 burritos at the fucking Bar Burritos.
All right. See you later. Does the defense have any witnesses they would like to call?
For the love of God, please no.
Well, no, I don't think so. I think everything's well in hand, so to speak.
Okay. Well, then does the prosecution have any closing statements they would like to say?
If you hate America, if you hate everything that has made this country what it is, then by all means, let her off. But if you stand up against terrorists and people who do not believe in Jesus Christ, put this woman in jail. I rest my case.
Defense?
Well, for my closing statement, I would like to say, for all that Jesus Christ is here to, tell us what we should and shouldn't be doing, how come no one ever calls him up to the witness stand? I never hear him say anything for himself. He never comes into the courtroom and is like, yeah, put that person in jail. And I tell you what, if you don't have high enough principles to actually show up to the place and say something yourself, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it secondhand. I don't want no hand-me-down Jesus. Hand-me-down Jesus is not what we want here. All right? So, yeah, everybody, but, I just ended up, like I said, everybody knows there's some good cops somewhere. Somewhere in some donut shop. He tips when he gets his coffee. That's nice of him. However, there are other cops. They like to be huge assholes, and sometimes they get peed on. But I'll tell you what. She peed on him. Some cops beat the shit out of people for no reason. Which one's worse? And now, that's my closing statement.
I hear the officers are here.
I didn't mean none of that.
All right, then. Well, I guess it's time for me as a judge to decide this case. I'm going to go ahead and... while both sides had very convincing arguments, and the witness, Mr. Bobby Jenkins, I think, brought a lot to the case. I think I'm going to have to go with the fact that she's not guilty. Because, I mean, really, who at some point has not wanted to piss on a cop?
Like I'm saying.
And, fuck Jesus Christ.
Oh!
There you have it. Not guilty. And that's exactly how that trial's going to go, people. I mean, you saw it here. Yes. You saw it here.
My name is Jimmy. I'm the bailiff. I'd just like to say that the prosecutor just died of a heart attack.
Yes.
Guess he won't be showing up to that Tea Party rally.
Oh man, I really like that Southern gentleman.
Yes.
Reminds me of a Southern gentleman I once spoke to.
Oh, please tell us about him.
Well, my dear boy, he tried to explain to me the difference between velvet and velveteen. That's a story for another time.
Let me tell you, I got that voice from a guy at my job when I was filing a claim. This guy was explaining how something had happened. And yeah, this is exactly what he said. He was like, I had looked in my rearview mirror, and I saw some headlights and thought nothing of them. Well, I went on my merry way, and I looked up, and the headlights had grown exponentially.
That's a great use of the word exponentially.
Man, I was laughing so hard.
Was that a mute the mic situation where you're laughing?
No, I straight up laughed, and he was happy that I laughed. He was like one of those guys who wants you to have a good time. So I said that shit like 8,000 times that week.
That reminds me of one of the calls I took once on an accident when I worked there. And the guy just came on the line, and, you had to say your thing about, like, thank you for calling, and this is Kyle, how may I, what's your policy number, how can I help you, or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so he begins the call. First things he says is, I just saw the most amazing thing ever happen in my entire life. And, like, he was, I mean, like, you know when you hear people talking like, this guy's serious. So I was now, my curiosity had been piqued. And I just said, wow, what happened? I didn't go into the normal spiel. I was curious. I wanted to know. He's like, so we were stopped at this red light, and we heard this loud sound from behind us, and as I turned to look, a shadow goes over my vehicle. And I look up, and as I look up, the people in the car that are now flying over me are looking down at me. Because they were upside down as they flipped over me. And they go skidding into the intersection, and they spin around, and they spin around, and they were like, I'm looking at them, like every time they spin around, I catch their eyes.
Holy shit.
And then the car stops spinning, and a car hits them and sends them spinning away.
Oh my God.
And as he finished the story, I was just like, that is probably the most amazing thing I think I've ever heard.
Holy shit.
He's like, yeah, imagine living through that.
Whoa.
Yeah, I mean, I just love, though, when they used to call and they would give you these crazy stories about what had happened. They were legitimately crazy, not just like them like, oh my God, let me tell you about this. And it turns out somebody opened their door into them and they were like making a huge accident or big deal out of it. But they're legitimately like, whoa, that shit's fucked up.
This one guy called in because a fucking turkey had gone through his windshield, and he was trying to call in the claim while the turkey was attacking his wife. So he's like, I'm calling her. Get off me! Get away from me! And he's like laughing and like trying to carry on a conversation. And there's this fucking living turkey pecking the shit out of his wife right next to him.
that is great.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Shit. I remember I had one once where like somebody was driving through this area and like the fence to this farm had broken down and like this cow had wandered into the road and the guy had hit the cow. And like it had just gone over his vehicle. Like he hit the cow going so fast it basically just rolled over him and flattened the hood of the roof of his car. And he was okay though. And he had got out of the car and the farmer had come up and the farmer was yelling at him for hitting his cow because evidently it was an Angus beef cow and he's like, it's worth all this much money and you killed it and blah 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 blah. And I hear him while he's on the phone talking to me, and the farmer in the background like, you tell them they're paying for that cow. They're paying for that cow. And the guy afterwards asked me, he's like, sir, are we going to pay for that cow? I was like, you better tell him. He might want to be careful. He might be paying us for the damage that his cow caused to your car. He's like, I don't think I'm going to say that to him. I was like,
well, I got to say, that farmer did have a legitimate beef with him.
Oh, God.
And with that pun... It's time to end the podcast.
Come on, we gotta milk that for all it's worth. It's utterly perfect.
I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming.
So many bad puns.
Oh, yeah. Let's end before I fucking get killed by you guys.
I know. I'm tired of all this punishment.
Oh.
I don't want to be punitive, because goodness knows they wouldn't be funny.
Oh, God. It's over. That's it, guys. The whole podcast done after that.
It's finished.
So, as always, if you would like to send stories to us or ask us questions or send us questions to ask or just generally fucked up shit we might want to talk about, you could email that to offenderspodcast@gmail.com. And if you want to help us out, you can always let your friends know about this. You know, just make sure you tell them, hey, these guys are kind of crazy and might offend you. Before you do it, because I don't want some asshole coming on there and then me having to like go over to their house in my car and almost run them over, and then like cops getting involved and me peeing on a cop. We just don't need that in our lives right now. But yeah, make sure to share this with your friends. You know, drop a like on our Facebook page if you haven't already, so you'll know when the new episodes come up. Like the videos on YouTube. There might even possibly be actual video coming to you in the future.
What?
Should I have told you about that before I told everybody else about it?
I was just going along with it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, something we've talked about maybe trying to do and see about. But that's something maybe a little bit down the line we might try to do. Mm-hmm. But until next time, I'm Kyle.
I'm Evan.
And I don't want you to come across my Facebook.
And this has been The Offenders. Y'all have a good one.
And listen to Shrike.